I, for the record, love the Mini Cooper. I have had one now for well over a decade. I've had 3 different Mini Coopers. I love the Mini Cooper. I love the brand of the Mini Cooper. But Mini has let me down, and I am not going to be purchasing a Mini next, and I'll tell you why. So when I originally purchased a Mini, there was like a historic connection because my parents had one when I grew up, and I loved the car. I loved how the car was so small. I loved it felt like a go-kart. I loved that our family had history to it. But then I loved the direction that BMW took the new Mini, which really created a ton of personality around the vehicle itself, right? You could really tell a lot about somebody based on the way in which they styled their Mini and colored the Mini and all that kind of stuff. So I loved it from that perspective. It gave you essentially an outlet for your personality. But then Mini made some crucial decisions that made Mini not so Mini anymore. In 2014, they changed the Mini and they made it wider and they made it bigger. And so it started to take away from the fact that it's a Mini for a reason, and now it's not so Mini. And so for me, it just started little by little. I could sense that they were getting further and further away from, why people were drawn to them in the beginning. And so now they're becoming too blah. It's like every other car, and they've lost the personality, and it's like the size is not so Mini anymore. And so now I'm at a point where, the Mini that I've got, it's time to get a new car. And I'm just not fired up about Mini anymore because they've gotten away from the very thing that made them, so popular, and so my heart's broken. I gotta admit, my heart's broken. I love the Mini, but not so much anymore. In the beginning, Mini was known for something very specific. It was a fun, creative brand. The car was small and go-kart-like. They had like Mini rallies. Like I still remember, I used to go on these Mini rallies. There'd be hundreds and hundreds of us. I remember this one in particular. We were all rallying to downtown Toronto. And when we got to downtown Toronto, we pull into this parking lot, and it was like a big drive-in theater, and we all watched The Italian Job. It was amazing. And then like in the big chase scenes, we're all like honking our horns, like hundreds of these Mini owners. It was amazing. But then like Mini just stopped doing these kinds of things, and like the community started to fizzle out, and then the Mini became not so Mini anymore, and they made the cars wider and bigger, and they just started to lose the sense of like what made them unique. And I think sometimes like as business owners, we lean into that in the beginning, like we're unique for a reason, we stand out for a reason, we lean into that. And then when we try to broaden our market share, so to speak, or try to reach more and more people, we end up getting away from the very thing that makes us unique, and we try to please all people. And when you try to please all people, you don't stand out anymore, and people don't talk about you, and people don't spread the word about you or refer you or any of that stuff, and you lose the essence of what made you Mini in the first place. So I think the lesson for all of us as business owners is, look, lean into your uniqueness. Lean into the very thing that makes you different, because that's what's going to make you stand out. And when you try to be all things to all people, you don't become anything to anybody.